So what can be registered? Well, there's a whole raft of things that can be registered. Traditionally, we've got things like names, yep, Barclays, McDonald's, Adidas, yep, names can be registered. A logo, yep, so ticks, stripes, lions, you know, that type of thing, a logo can be registered. A domain name, again, often overlooked by small businesses. If your domain name meets our criteria, you can register a domain name as a trademark. As I said, it's got to distinguish you from your competitors. It's got to act as a badge of origin. If you are driving home this evening and you're going down the motorway or the high street and you see a green coloured petrol station, whose petrol station is it? BP, yeah, quite right. BP own the colour green for petrol forecourt services. It's acting as a badge of origin. No other company, petrol company, can colour their forecourts green simply because BP have it registered as a trademark. Okay. Shape. Shape on its own as a registered trademark. Again, back to our, we'll go back to our chocolate scenario. If I would say to you a tubular, triangular bar of chocolate, who owns that? Toblerone own. Toblerone own the rights in that shape of chocolate. Shape of the chocolate, the shape of the packaging. It's very important to them because you may remember, probably about 6-8 months ago now, Marks and Spencer's introduced a thing called the Alpine bar. The Alpine bar just happened to be tubular and triangular. On the shelves for a couple of weeks, it was then removed very rapidly because they didn't consider that Toblerone owned the rights in the shape of that chocolate. Had to be removed, had to be pulped. They lost all the shelf space, the awareness, simply because they didn't look to see what other companies were owning. Music, used every day in advertising. If it represents your business, you hear a piece of music, a jingle, you know whose company that is. Potentially, again, you can register music as a registered trademark. We have received 2 smell marks. Get them out of the way, straight away. The first is the smell of roses as applied to the tyres of cars. Sumitomo rubber, or Dunlop, as they're better known as. And you might think, well, why have they registered that? Is it so that, you know, when you get knocked down, you smell nice when you get to the hospital? It's not because of that reason. It's because when you put your spare tyre in the boot of your car, if you've got a hatchback, the smell of roses then diffuses through to the rest of the car and you know you've got a Dunlop tyre in the boot. Bizarre. And even more bizarre, the second one was the smell of strong bitter beer as applied to the flights of darts. Bizarre, strange, odd. But there we are. 2, we've received 2, we've registered them, and we haven't registered any more since, so there we are. And we've also got things like non-traditional marks. What do we mean by non-traditional marks? We can mean things like human movement can be registered as a trademark. And I can see yourself thinking, human movement as a trademark? I'll give you an example. Asda own the rights in somebody patting their back pocket twice. Ideally their own back pocket, otherwise there could be issues, but they own the rights. See how this one runs. Ah, there we are, okay. Now when you come up with your brands, get advice, okay? Go to your trademark attorney, go to your family, your friends, your advisors. Does this name, does this logo really represent our business? Because generally, once you've got your trademark, you're stuck with it for life. Okay, it's like having a child really, isn't it? Because trying to change your branding, as the post office found out, to consignia, very, very difficult to do because people buy into that name, buy into that logo, you know, goodwill behind what you're doing. So changing is very difficult. Searching, back to our searching. Please get onto our website. You can do your own search on the website. You can search for names, you can search begins with, contains, exact match. You can search logos, so stripes, hexagons, clouds, you name it, you can search it online. You can search by proprietor. So if you want to see what Cadbury's own, put Cadbury in as proprietor and it will list all their trademarks for you. And you'll see when they're renewed, how they're being renewed, how long they've got to run, etc., etc. How much does it cost? Relatively cheap. For the UK, you're looking at a figure of £200. Okay? The trademark register is split into 45 different classes of goods and services. You tell us what class you're going to operate in. It's £200 for your first class. Any subsequent classes, it's an extra £50. Okay, so again, not vastly expensive. That will last you for a period of 10 years. It's a 10-year renewal system. So in 10 years' time, you simply renew it if you want to keep it in force. It can last forever. Trademark number 1, which is a red triangle for beer, Bass Brewers, registered in 1876 and is still in force today. Okay, so it lasts for a very, very long time. If you want to file in Europe, it's now got vastly cheaper. As of the 1st of May this year, they reduced their costs substantially. Their e-filing fee, if you do it online, is now €900, okay, for all 27 countries. Okay, so you're looking at around 850 quid to cover yourself throughout all 27 countries of Europe, again for that 10-year period. Okay? So that's trademarks, that's for brands, that's for logos, for names. The next area we're going to look at is that of a registered design. Now, a registered design protects the appearance of something, okay, so what it looks like. Okay. Now, you can't register everything as a registered design. If it has to be a certain shape to do its function, then there's no design freedom, there's no design protection. An example there would be a brake pad, yeah, for a Ford Fiesta. It's got to be that shape to fit the caliper, otherwise it's not going to work. So there's no design freedom. You couldn't design it a different shape because it's not going to function. So it has to do that shape to do its function, no design freedom, no design registration. We can't register anything contrary to public policy, morality, and anything which contains or uses protected flags or emblems, again, they're excluded from registration. But it does give you a fairly good scope as to what you can register.